Night Patrol is pretty much a horror, crime drama, action comedy, or should I say action film with elements of comedy in it, right? It's one of those oh gosh, I forgot what you call it, what term you call it, right? Where it's like this a genre mashup. That's basically what it is,
Right,
right?
right, right.
I think in the long run, it will aid in its longevity, right? But I'll get to that in a bit, right? So yeah, basically, this story is set in LA, right? And it's pretty much centered on, yeah, the Bloods and the Crips, right?
Right.
So we're introduced to Xavier Carr, who is played by Jermaine Fowler. He was a former Crip, but now he's an LAPD officer, right? And he works alongside Ethan, who is played by Justin Long.
Real drama, but,
Yeah, I know, like, do like rep your set, right? Like you turn your back on the set and you join the pigs, right? Like, what happened to you, boy? Anyhow. But yeah,
yeah,
so
you're
for
right.
whatever reason, no, well, I think he says it at some point in time. He just wanted
Right.
to bet his life and to do right by his community. So that's why he left that street life, right? But his younger brother, unfortunately, is still involved in that, right? His name is Wazi, right? His mom actually too is a diehard Crip as well too. There's a couple of moments involving she where I was like, all right, she is a bad ass. Like, wow, like that is some West Coast shit right there, right? But anyway, we learned about this night squad, right? This group of cops who pretty much patrol the streets at night, right? They call themselves Night Patrol, right? And Ethan gets signed to the group, right? But Xavier is trying to get there because he feel like, even though he's been in the police work for like about a few years now, he feel like he have the chops to make it there, right? But he trying as much as he can, right? But yeah, without give away too much, his brother Wazi witnesses a murder by a couple members of the Night Patrol, and Wazi's like real conflicted about it, and he's trying to let his his people know about what going on as well too, and you learn later on that again, because this thing is a horror, yeah, the Night Patrol is pretty much yeah, vampires.
Right.
Yeah, they're pretty much vampires, right? And they pretty much roam the street. They are capturing people. They feeding on them and all that kind of stuff, right? But what they do in this story is that they work in this racial angle to it as well, too, right? Because yeah, it's kind of on the news, but yeah, it's a squad of white cops, right? And they go after these black people, right? But the thing is, oh, they're gangbangers, man. So, the world's not gonna miss, some gangs, right? So they just go after them, right? And how that tension is built, well, I wouldn't say how it happens, but yes, tension is built, throughout the story, and then it just leads to this how to say, like, this assault on Precinct 13 style kind of confrontation between the Bloods and Crips, because they actually had a team up to face these cops, right? And yeah, Xavier and of course Ethan gets roped in as well too. And lastly, we learn that Ethan's father, this Sarge, who was presumed dead, but we know why he's alive in this case, because vampire, right? That's why, yeah, he tries to get Ethan involved in the group as well, right? And I'll stop there, right? So yeah, the two reasons why I wanted to see this show is because the boy Freddie Gibbs is in this movie.
Right, that's all that.
Yep, playing a blood, which is not surprising, right? But I thought, like, listen, like he's not given an Oscar worthy performance, but he's just pretty much Freddie Gibbs. He just doing what he does,
Right. I mean, he's act like he's act like himself in the music videos anyway. So like whatever.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So exactly that same vibe that you got on Alfredo. It's
Alfred, right.
it's that same thing. It's that same kind of energy, right? Also, on a side note, I didn't even know this, but YG was there too. He's also he's also a real life blood as well, right? But yeah, he isn't given much to do, but he's pretty much the lieutenant to Freddie Gibbs' character. Okay, he's the leader of this set, this blood set, right? But the next reason why I wanted to see this is because of a certain wrestler who plays one of the villains, who plays one of the Night Patrol members. CM Punk is in this movie. Yes, and I did not know that his name is Phil Brooks. I did not know that because the show just decided to just put his real name instead of his stage name. That was kind of weird, but whatever. But yeah, I didn't know his name was Phil Brooks, right? And I will just say, again, he's not given an Oscar-worthy performance neither, right? But because dude could cut a promo with the best of them, Yeah,
Right.
he was very, very, he was very believable as this very intimidating, policeman, right? This superior, if you will, right? Because yeah, both Ethan and Xavier have to answer to him, right? He's higher up in the food chain, right? But yeah, if I could just get to the main gripe that I had with the show, right? So that's going back to genre mashup, right? It feels like there is like this overlap between these genres, right? It's trying to do a lot. It tries to really hone in on all of these elements, right? On all these genres. And I find like, at times it doesn't really do it all that well, right? So it takes a while for the horror stuff to kick in, even though you know the horror stuff is coming in, right? It takes a while for the action stuff to come in, even though you know it's coming, right? It's comedic at the start, but then eventually it just gets serious. And then ever so often, you throw bits of comedy and it feels kind of awkward at times. But what really surprised me though is that this is the crime drama element though, because this really remind me, believe it or not, of a little movie called Colors, right, which featured the late great Robert Duvall, right?
Right.
That was one of the first shows. This came out in '88, by the way, right? Yeah, I think this was the first show to touch on gang culture in LA as well, too, right? Because that was about the Bloods and the Crips, right? And that was a big deal, a Hollywood movie touching on that, right? And no mind it's from the perspective of white cops, but still that was a big deal, right? And yeah, at times it feels like that too with the body cop stuff. So in other words, there's like a lot of tropes and elements that you've seen in other films that are in this film, and mostly times don't really gel all that well. There's even like a training day kind of moment with CM Punk and Ethan as well too. Like, I'm your superior, or you feel you're tough, or you want to roll with the big boys. All right, do this for me. Hold this gun and do this for me, right? It's that kind of vibe. So it's doing a lot within its fairly short runtime, right? Because this runs for like about an hour and 45 minutes, right? So I just feel like if it was just if it could have just honed in on a team, if it could have just focused on a story a lot more, yeah, we wouldn't feel like the show itself wouldn't feel like this mismatch of different tropes and subgenres and whatnot, right? That being
Right.
said, though, I was actually like really impressed by this film, right? I'm not familiar with the director at all. His name is Ryan Prows. He's also the co-writer of this.
Right.
First time I'm hearing about this guy, but I thought for the most part, I thought that this show was okay. It was fine. It didn't blow my mind, but it was okay, right? I should also mention too, Flying Lotus was in this movie too. But here's the thing.
Okay.
I would not have known he was in this show if they didn't show me his handle in the credits. Like, I had to watch this man face, right? I was like, oh, that's you. Okay, but I will say without spoiling much, he isn't given much to do, but how he's worked into the story is kind of funny. Like, what he brings to the table. It's subtle, but it's kind of funny, right?
Right.
But yeah, I could definitely see this film, earning cult status over time as well because of that genre mashup style, right? And I will say you don't really get vampire films set in the hood. You don't really get those films, these days, right? Especially in this time, in this decade, right? In a I want to say post Black Lives Matter, world, right? You don't get movies like this, right? This is the kind of stuff that you would probably expect from the 90s or the 2000s, right? The crooked cops and they're all white and they're all vampires, right? And all that kind of stuff, right? It's very much like, it feels in a way like if they had just taken out certain elements out of it, this could have been a segment in a Tales from the Hood movie.
Right.
And I'm like, first Tales of the Hood movie. I never saw the sequel or whatever, right? But yeah, this would have made for a great segment in that original film, right, from '95.
Right. So it's like it's not in film form, right?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, it is enjoyable, right? Again, it's all over the place in terms of tone and in terms of style and whatnot, right? But it's entertaining enough, right? It's cool seeing, YG and Freddie Gibbs be badasses, CM Punk be a badass, even Jermaine Fowler, who brings a lot of humor to the film, get his moment to shine as well too. But like I say, the mom character to Jermaine's character, and that Wazi character, she's the MVP in this though. She is such a badass in this, right? Even though I really wanted to like this film more, this was still fine. I can't say that I didn't feel like I wasted my time watching this, to be honest. But I can understand why this didn't really get the big push like the commercial push that something like this could have gotten, right? Given the actors who play the side characters or whatnot, right? But again, I could see this growing, gaining cult status over time, and I mean, I could see this being like this alternate film, like if you're just fed up of seeing vampire films or horror action films, right? With creatures in it, right? Yeah, you could watch this film, right? Because yes, thematically it's on the nose. Again, white cops as vampires attacking black people. It's on the nose, I get, right? But they make it work. They make it relevant, right? It doesn't really feel too deep, in my opinion, right? And lastly, while I was watching this film, I was reminded of remember, I think is in the late 2010s, right? Where for some reason Netflix hired Will Smith to be in a buddy cop action
Right.
movie with elves, and they had like
Blink.
I think it was Blink or Bright or something.
Yeah. Right. It's oh god, what's his name? Is the fellow do Suicide Squad?
All right, yes, David Ayer, because apparently Will promised David Ayer, in addition to Suicide Squad, I'll also star in your other shitty film, right? So it's like that, right? Yeah, while I was watching this film, I was reminded of Bright, right? I would say this film does a much, much better job of showing the...
Yeah, Bright was completely confused. That's the problem with Bright. Like, it didn't make sense in terms of our world building standpoint, because this, if you have all this magic shit, it won't look like this. Like this is nonsense. Like it don't make a little sense from that standpoint, though.
And you're also trying to do the grimy training day cop shit in it as well too.
Yeah, it won't work or make any sense. Like the whitest they would look like this. This is Bright have the same problem of the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes ending. It's like it would look like that. Like that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Like sorry, like I said to not try to speculate about like fictitious or fantasy universes. People get into this big dumb debate about this kind of stuff. But like, yeah, it wouldn't look like our world. Our world looks like our world because our world is our world. Like it's that. Like it won't look
exactly. And even if it's set in LA, still that's not a good excuse. Like, okay, you could have the palm trees, you could have the flat houses, you could have all that shit.
Well,
but at the same time, it had to work with the fancy elements.
Yeah, a big part of it is it depends on tone as well, right? Like if it's a Pixar movie or something like that, you can probably let it slide, but not for a big supposedly serious adult movie. Crime thing. It's like, no, it's set up and make the world building make sense now. Like, whatever. Moving on.
Yeah. So I will say that this show does a much better job in at least building the world, right? I wish I could have gone this a little further. In terms of just justifying why the vampires would do what they do. So
yeah. Off the top of my head, it remember a little bit of Attack the Block as well. Like put.
Oh, I was thinking about that too with the third act, with the gangs against the vampires.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So slight spoiler before I get to Marita, right? What I wish the show did was at least explain why the vampires will just pick this one block, this one hood, to do their thing. Why would they expand to other, I was gonna say boroughs, right? But to other states or whatever it is. Why aren't there night patrols in other states in the states or whatever it is? Why is it just limited to LA? I wish they explained that. And they could have done it. They actually could have taken the time to at least justify that, right? Without spoiling much, that would have made for a great cliffhanger, right? But they decided to end the way how they did, so it's like whatever, right? But yeah, for me, rating wise, I'll give this a decent 3 out of 5. It's eyed for what it is. You can put it on. I would say it's one of those shows that if you have nothing to do, like say on a Friday or a Saturday night, you put it on, you enjoy it for what it is, right? But again, I do see this movie having cult status over time because it takes these bold swings, right? Because again, you don't see urban crime drama with vampires. You don't see movies like that every day, right? And again, in a post Black Lives Matter world, especially in a ICE world, right? I was thinking about that too as a wrap up here, right? Yeah, like something like this, a show like this existing is kind of ballsy though. Like I know that's not what the filmmakers intended, right? But at the same time, like this movie is out now, right? While when ICE is a thing, right, in the States, right? It's kind of weird. Right? I feel like that will add to its potential legacy, right, over time, right? But yeah, it's fine. It's fine for what it is. If you catch it, watch it, right? It's fun. It's fine. you probably won't remember it after a day or two, but that's not to say the movie
Right.
is outright trash or whatever. But it's fine. It's fine, and yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Night Patrol. All right, so with Night Patrol out the way, let's talk about Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, right? I'll
Yes.
do the premise for this, and we'll jump into reviews here, right? Afterwards, sorry. So I legit saw this morning at the time of me recording this, right? And the funny thing is, I for some reason I did not watch the trailer for this. I just
Yeah. Okay.
saw the poster. I thought it looked
Yeah,
really
I
cool.
went in relatively blind as well. I didn't see the
Yeah.
trailer, but I think I watched one review,
Okay.
and that was about it.
I saw a couple of Facebook posts about it, and
Right.
they were positive towards the film, right?
Right.
But then I wasn't really hearing anything about it since it came out, so I was like a little concerned. I was like, wait, like did it underperform at the box office? Like I don't know what happened, right? But yeah, it came out on digital, and like I said, I saw it this morning, right? I know you saw it before me. I don't know by how long. So, well, but I know that you remember a majority of it, right? Or at least
Right.
I
Right.
hope
Right.
you do, right? But yeah, in a nutshell, it's directed by Gore Verbinski. I mean, you'll know
Right.
him from what, the Pirates of the Caribbean.
And Pirates. Well, of course, the unfortunate, very unfortunate Lone Ranger.
Yeah,
And then
and,
he
and,
did
and
he did a movie that I thought was a kind of a noble failure. That was
a Cure for Wellness.
Cure for Wellness.
Yeah,
Right.
and I was actually thinking about that show while I was watching this,
Right,
believe it or not,
right.
right? Yeah, that show also have potential cult classicness to it, but it's just
Yeah.
the storytelling was just a mess, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it involves this man, right? He's not given a name, but we just know that he's from the future, right? And he's played by our boy, Sam Rockwell, right? So
Right.
he shows up one night at this Norm's diner, right? And he just pretty much tells these people, listen, like this particular AI is going to destroy the world. Well, sorry, not destroy the world. It's gonna just make life a living hell now. So we are on the cusp of this apocalypse, right? And I am here to pretty much stop this from happening. I know the person who created, and I just need to get this select group of people, or I should say patrons, sorry, from the diner, or I should say get them out of the diner because police coming to get at this guy, right? And we need to get to this person and stop this thing at all costs, right? So yeah, there's a select few, and as he says at the very beginning, I've done this scenario like numerous times. I know
Right.
how things play out. But lucky for me, I have a device strapped to me, so like if shit goes south, all I gotta do is just press it, and then I just start back from the very beginning, right? So it's all about time travel here, right? But yeah, this group of individuals, actually, if I'm not mistaken, is like a new group. Like, see, he hasn't, like, he's seen these people before, but he never really went with them. Like they never stuck with
Right.
him on the journey, right? So yeah, long story short, he goes on his journey to find this person, right? What the show does, and this caught me completely by surprise, right, is that it zeroes in on a few characters, on a few key players, and gives them their own like backstories. Now. So
Right.
we get this sort of like this sort of weird mix of anthology, but it's also built around this main storyline. I thought that was pretty cool, though. I will say this as a wrap up here, right? Is that it like I said, only zeroes in on a few characters, so not all the members get their backstories, right? But the backstories themselves are pretty intriguing because, yeah, the show kinda is on that Black Mirror kind of vibe where it's not so much anti-technology, but more like, oh, technology will be the death of us very soon, right? So they touch on, cell
Right.
phones and how, Gen Z in particular always
Yeah.
obsessed with scrolling on,
There's
TikTok and stuff like that.
I don't
right?
know.
So it's those little things, right, that the show
I feel
touches on.
I feel the opposite, eh? Because
Okay.
it have a little old man yells at cloud with Verbinski a little bit.
I know. Yeah, it is very like old man watch. Like you see all this stuff with AI and stuff with phones.
Right.
That'll be death all here. So it's like that, right? So I'll just kick off my review here one time, right? So one thing I do like, right, is how it has this satirical vibe to it, right? Like
Right.
and very absurdist as well too. Like I would say the one show this movie really remind me of is a little classic from Terry Gilliam called 12 Monkeys. This
Right.
idea of character from future comes into modern
Right.
time. People
Kinda
think
fix
he
up on
mad. And but the world that he is in is kind of crazy too. and you're kind of questioning his
Right.
sanity, but then it's all about this pre-apocalyptic story, like the world's gonna come to an end,
Right.
and it kind of feels
And
like,
it's how-
we kind of
it's how-
deserve to die, right? That's how
Yeah, it's
that
how
movie was.
junky everything looking with him, and that is straight up very 12 Monkeys. Right?
Yeah, that outfit he has on, especially that
Exactly.
that see-through jacket, whatever you call it, that is
Plastic,
straight up 12 Monkey shit right there, right?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it is very much AI is bad, technology is bad, right? But the anthology sections really surprised me. Cause at first I was like, okay, I think I know where the show is going, but then they just sort of segment into these things, right? And for the most part, they work, right? They do play out like Black Mirror stories where it's all centered on the protagonist being exposed to some sort of technology. So like we have Michael Pena and we have Igil Zazie Beetz, and Michael Pena's character is like, well, he's a teacher, substitute teacher, and like he's seeing his students obsessed with phones, and there's this particular app that kind of pretty much makes them zombified. That's all. See without spoiling anything, right? Then we have another character who loses her son, and how she lost her son is tragic, right? But then it builds on something that is so dark and insidious. And one thing, right? The show never like it's all these absurd things that are never really quite explained, right? So case in point, there's a particular organization, a company that says, oh, we're going to clone your son, right? We're going to make sure that he has a new lease on life. But we don't really know anything about them. And a part of me feels like they may have to do with the whole pre-apocalypse thing, right? I don't know. I could be wrong, right? And then we have another story. This one is like the most, well, sorry, we also have the backstory of the protagonist, right? The man from the future, right? But then the one that really intrigued me, boy, was this one woman who is, she says she's allergic, right? But it's just that she has this reaction to Wi-Fi and phones, so she gets nosebleeds and stuff like that. That one caught me by surprise, right? But like how they work that in terms of how she rejects technology, I thought was really interesting. And then she has a major part to play in the story as it goes along, right? But yeah, for me, I found myself really enjoying this too. But I think for me, why I enjoyed it so much is because I went in blind. I didn't know much about what was going on, right? It is Old Man Yells at Cloud. It's that, right? But I feel the satirical aspect works.
Why it really works, why it really works for me is because of Sam Rockwell.
He is great at this.
Yeah, he keeps the attention, he keeps the energy, he keeps it flowing and rolling.
Yeah, and his cynicism, boy, like he is so cynical with the dialogue.
Yeah,
like, wow, boy.
And the whole thing really works because of how but it fast, because when all is said and done, especially that final sequence in the boy bedroom, which was wild as hell.
Oh boy, I love all of that. Mm-hmm.
I love all of that, those visuals. It still works. It's still like a lot of it works on the main characters. And there's nice little side characters in Zazie Beetz. I didn't know was in this. She have a nice little movie coming up, so I'm kind of excited for that.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. The charm of it is why it works for me for the most part.
Yeah. I'll just mention a few things for you before I give my rating, and then you jump in, right? Also, I must applaud the fact that Universal was able to put out such an unconventional film like this, right? Because, it is really unconventional, especially with the splitting of the main narrative to do these anthology bits now. I thought that was very clever how they pull that off, right? And then also, too, some really, like, trippy, well, not entirely trippy, but yeah, like a couple of, like, insane moments, like visually insane moments. There's one involving a character, like a creature, I would say. That creature is one of the biggest WTF things I have seen in a movie this year. And I literally I was like, what the fuck is that shit?
Yeah.
But kind of funny, yeah, but it's how spontaneous, without spoiling. It's just how out of the blue, it just came out, right? But they had like a little build up to it, right? But yeah, it is beyond insane, right? That's all I'll say, right? Also, too, performances I thought across the board were pretty solid. But yeah, it is really Sam Rockwell's show. His cynicism really had me going though, especially with how he talks to people. Like, yeah, I did this before. I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to do. No, what you try to do, you mean? And it's just that vibe that he brings to the table, right? I like that we don't really know too much about him, but then you get that backstory, which is short, but it gives you just enough detail for you to be like, oh, that's why he moving like that, right? I thought that the third act was kind of brilliant in my opinion, especially when it showed the kid and all that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, again, it's just how weird it is, right? How intentionally weird it is, right? It really does remind me of Terry Gilliam stuff, right? You know, like I mentioned 12 Monkeys. There's, there's some Terry Gilliam worship in this too. Like I saw bits of Brazil, I saw bits of fan loading in Las Vegas, like just stuff like that. Like the distortion of reality. That's really what the show does well, right? And then the climax and the ending I thought was really, really solid though, right? Very unexpected though, but like when I saw that I was like,
I didn't like the joke at the end. I thought that undercut things, but like,
okay.
I thought that joke was kind of dumb.
Well, but it without spoiling it, it just shows how unpredictable the chance of sorting things out is, right? I like that the show is brave enough to see that, right? But yeah, boy, I was just watching this like, wow, but like Universal put this out though, because it's just so strange though. It's not an A24 film. What I will say, just as I wrap things up, right? People will compare it to Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I will say it is more restrained. It is not as wild as that movie was. Again, Everything Everywhere is much wilder than this. This movie has like a level of control here. Like Everything Everywhere was intentionally supposed to be batshit crazy and wild. That's what it was, right? This one was taking its time, and you could tell like it was really like it's telling its stories, and I thought it did it well, right? What I will say that's just gripe wise is that not all the jokes land, and yes, I know they're going for dry humor here, right? It's very very dry, especially with the delivery that characters give, right? But yeah, some shit is, some things happen very unexpectedly. There's a kill involving a shotgun where I legit was like, holy shit. I was like, what?
And even the fella, he did business, eh? He's like, yeah, watch that.
Yeah.
As far as I consider, this is a video game, He had to do what he had to do.
Yeah, that was so hard, but I was like, wow. That caught me by surprise, right? But yeah, is how unexpected it is while it is telling its story, right? Last point though, I do like I say, the whole cult classic, right? Classic thing, right? This is destined for cult classic greatness in the long run, right? But I do wonder, similar to Black Mirror, how its arguments will play out over time, especially with AI, right? Because I don't want to say this show is an anti-AI kind of show, but it kind of plays out like that. So I don't know if 5 years people will be like, wow, like, all they really thought AI was going to be this thing that was going to like destroy humanity or something. Like,
right. I mean, it's not just because they're so over the top and thing. It's not like you're not trying to make some accurate prediction or anything like that. Everything is just like, just saying something about society and whoever it is. No matter how bad things seem to get, they'll play with that idea of a joke. So it not like this won't age well. The question is what it critique if it'll age well. And in that sense, it might age well. Like it's just, this was nailing the time and the aesthetic and the craziness around AI around this time or whatever it is, or all the hype or the self-flagellance of its own making. But at the same time, there's a lot of old man yells at cloud. Like back when Black Mirror did it, it was ahead of the curve. This take too long to come out. Like, just admit that.
Like, agreed,
if this came out 10 years ago, I would be like, wait, I love this and find it the funniest thing and so clever. But
or at least pre-COVID, like 2018, 2019, around that time,
Right. But yeah, but this as it is, but it's still because it's still genuinely a charming story and adventure. It really works, and again, only because Sam Rockwell really holds it. It's genuinely hilarious, and he's great in this. And I think I don't know, like it really bothers me when somebody do something that quote unquote don't try to age well, because I don't think you're trying to make necessarily some kind of prediction of the future as it is the commentary, right? So they're making it work in that way. And I think, look, Verbinski, love him or hate him, he is a very good filmmaker, I think, all things considered. And this was great. This is just really solid storytelling. I love, again, that last spectacle inside the boy room.
Yes, that was so good. Yes.
And it's like, this looking harder. I love it, all of this. And because it takes none of itself seriously. It totally works in that way. Mm-hmm. It's better. So, anyway, last point on your rating.
Yeah, all right. Well, for me, rating-wise, I'll give this a very light 4 out of 5, right? This is destined to be a cult classic. I do hope that it will age well over the years. And I do see that. I do see people who probably didn't even know that this movie came out or probably forgot about it, because I don't think it was like heavily marketed, right? Which is okay, right? But I mean, it's Universal, so that's kind of interesting. Or maybe I didn't see enough marketing for it, but whatever, right? But yeah, I do. This show has legs. I do see this, being discovered and rediscovered over time. And yeah, people will put it up there as like, a true cult classic, right? But yeah, in terms of this pre-apocalyptic sci-fi satire comedy thing, yeah, this works too. This was thoroughly entertaining for me, right? But yeah, Ricardo, any last thoughts on the film, Manriton?
Yeah. I guess again, the look, the vibe of it was great. Again, very Terry Gilliam, very, yeah, as I said, 12 Monkeys, but also a little bit of Brazil in it. It very messy. It have a nice vibe to it, and it's genuinely charming and funny. And I think most of it works. And this will probably get probably even a top 10 for the year, in my humble opinion. Yeah, 9 out of 10. I had a lot of fun with this.
Nice.
Surprisingly, again, just a lot more entertaining. And again, a big factor, admittedly, is that I went in blind. I went in relatively blind. I only saw a little bit of it. Went in relatively blind. Don't know what to expect. Don't know what to think. And then, yeah, came out like really enjoying it. So yeah,